folks, Ariel over here at Nyth, where today what we are doing is harvesting seed from garlic chives. These are the flowers. A few weeks ago these were lovely and purple, the bees and other pollinators like them. Now they've fully matured out in the heat, and let me see if I can show you up close. They have gone to seed. And that is what the little seeds look like. They're the little black specks that you can see inside there. If I turn it upside down, the wind's blowing enough to blow them away. They come out very, very easily. Now these are actually sitting here in the garden because I want to put them back in planters around the house. Those planters don't currently exist. We still have to get those built. So they are temporarily occupying this corner of the garden, but I don't necessarily want 400 million more chives growing right here. Where I would love 400 million more chives growing is all over under all the 230 something trees and bushes I've planted and so on. So before they can drop all their seeds here, they probably have already dropped some, and I will probably drop more. I'm going to just throw them in any kind of container. I'll show you what the bottom of this bucket looks like in a second. The seeds are just falling out as I drop them in there. You could do this if you wanted to save them for planting somewhere, next year, or to give to a friend or whatever. What I'm going to do is probably not save any of them and just simply scatter them all around under the trees and bushes I've planted, because if I get a ground cover of garlic chives, among other things, growing under there to harvest as I like and to make plenty of beautiful flowers and seeds and such for birds to eat, that's wonderful. You can probably hear birds flying by in the background. I've got quite a few around. Anyway, but I don't necessarily want them all right here in the garden where I want to be able to grow some other things. So, as you can see, you don't have to be real specific. Almost any seed, it's mature when it is ready to easily fall out, like those did, of whatever kind of pod or flower or whatever it's been growing in. That usually means it's ready. Many seeds are dark black when they're mature, like these are. Some are other colors. But that's all there is to it. Now, if I was going to keep these and want to plant them next year, rather than just scattering them right now, I would want to be sure there was no moisture left at all in the seeds before I put them in a closed container of whatever kind. I prefer to keep seeds in the freezer when I'm trying to store them for any length of time. Again, with these, I'm not planning to do that. I'm simply planning to scatter them on the ground just, now and not store. But they would be very easy to store, but you don't want to seal moisture up with any seeds if you're saving seeds, because the big enemies of a seed keeping are heat, moisture, and light. So you can pretty easily fix the light by putting them in anything opaque. Glass jar inside a closed cupboard, a paper bag, a little envelope, random saved containers like empty spice jars, closing them in a cupboard door, anything like that will keep them from sitting in the light. And heat, generally the cooler, the longer a seed will be preserved. In a freezer, I've had seeds, I've discussed this before, I've had seeds germinate up to 19 years later with still like 70% germination. Most seeds I keep for 3 to 4 years before I've used all of them, and I'm getting 99 to 100% germination kept in the freezer when not out for planting time for a couple weeks in the spring. But even just room temperature or a cooler basement or cupboard or something like that will work just fine. They've got viable germinated seeds out of pyramids thousands of years later. And those were not in a freezer or a seed vault or anything of the kind. Come around to this side so I can reach those last few. You can probably see all these little black specks on here are seeds that have already gotten shaken out either by me or the wind as I do this. Just going to finish up these last few seed heads. And garlic chives, of course, are wonderful for chopping up and putting in stir fries and egg dishes and all that kind of thing. I also just love the way they bloom. And like I said, all the pollinators like them. So now I've got my seed bucket. Let's go stand in the shade so the camera can see this better. So you can probably see behind me how smoky it is. You can barely see the mountains, though it was worse the other day. You couldn't really see them at all. Hopefully some of the smoke will clear out. This is coming from fires across Oregon, Idaho, Washington, California, etc. Places 500, 600, 700, 800 miles from here. Anyway, so I've got a bucket. You could use a pot, pan, anything you want that's a dry container. Give it a good shake. I can let these sit in here for a while, days, weeks, months, till whenever I'm not busy doing other things. It's best to use a container that's larger than you think you'll need. Makes it easier to not lose seeds. But you see all the little black specks there in the bottom? If I scoop some up, there's still chaff in there. That is all seeds, all the black specks. Not some of the little flowers that are falling apart, but that's all seeds. So I probably have, no exaggeration, hundreds of thousands of seeds in there, in that bottom corner, just from doing that, without even giving this time for the rest of these to fully dry, because there are still some seeds in there. If I do that, I can see them breaking out, but if I just let this bucket sit somewhere warm, I know you said don't store seeds warm, but while I'm trying to dry it out, because there is still some moisture in these stalks, somewhere warm for a day or so, all the rest of them should fall out easily when shaken. And then if I was going to store them, I would keep them, I'd spread them out in the bottom of the bucket, pull out all this stuff and put it in the compost once I think I've got all the seeds out. Let the seeds air dry for another day or two before sealing them up. Or like I said, I'm going to plant them everywhere, so I'm simply going to go scatter them all over and not worry about whether they're completely dry or not, because I'm not storing them. Hopefully that's helpful if you've ever wondered how you can save chive seeds. They're a plant that propagates themselves well, which means some people call them invasive. So if you don't like garlic chives, that's not a good thing. If you're looking for useful, productive ground covers that make food for people, pollinators, and all of that, and you've got a big, wide open, dry space to fill up, then that's awesome. So that is how I collect and save chive seed. As you can see, it only took a couple minutes. It took me twice as long to tell you what I was doing as it would have taken to just do it. Well, over here at Nyth, thank you so much for watching these videos and spending some of your very valuable time choosing to do that. We hope you found something that was useful, educational, helpful, maybe save someone else some time and trouble, or just something just plain beautiful. If you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe and hit the bell. And thanks for coming along on our journey as we build a new little homestead with our tiny house and everything to come.